So you're getting sales. That's great. Now you need a team. This session is about building systems so quality survives growth, even when you're not the one on site. Hi, I'm Florian Schurzlinger, and I started in the Christmas light industry as an installer 8 years ago. After 2 years in the field, I was promoted to project manager, and a few years after that, I became the operations manager at FestiLight. My main responsibilities are hiring installers, training them, and running the systems that keep quality consistent across every crew and every route. In the last session, Kevin showed you exactly what makes a great install and the practical ways you can get there yourself. But once you're landing approved quotes, you can't do all that work alone. You need a team, and you need that team to hit professional standards without standing over them. So in this session, I'm going to walk you through how to build and manage a team of installers, hiring, onboarding, defining quality, and the checklists and proof systems that hold it all together. Depending on where you're at in this industry, you may be wondering when is the right time to build a team versus keep installing solo. So before we get into the how, here's a quick gut check. Ask yourself, am I turning down work or pushing jobs later into the season because I'm out of manpower? Am I the only person who can make a job look right? Is quoting, installing, and following up all landing on me? If you're nodding along, you're ready to crew up. Let's start with finding people. For us, it's two main channels. We put out job posts out on LinkedIn, and we reach right back out to previous installers. Returning installers are like gold. They already know the projects, they know what a professional install looks like, and they need almost no ramp up. What am I actually looking for? Three things: reliability, punctuality, and someone who genuinely wants to do good work. You can't teach that last one. It shows up fast in the field. If someone cares whether it looks good, the work turns out great and you get fewer callbacks. So I also screen for culture fit. Ask what they like to do, what gets them excited, and then I'll run a reference check. Chances are you could get hundreds of applicants. That's where getting insight from someone who knows them could really help you narrow down the list. My process is simple and structured, so I don't waste the full interview slot on the wrong person. It starts with a quick phone call to vet the basics, and if that goes well, we bring them in for an in-person interview. That's where you get a real read on the culture fit. And let me save you from the two biggest hiring mistakes I made early on. One, not hiring enough people. You get caught short in the peak season and everyone burns out. Two, holding on to underperformers for too long. It crushes team morale because your best people feel like they're working extra hard just to cover someone else. Now let's talk about what happens once you've hired the right people. The reliable, on-time, eager ones who've maybe never hung a light in their lives. This is how we take a new installer from day one to working unsupervised. On the first day with our new hires, we like to start the day with coffee and donuts, as that's a great way to start any day. It's a small thing, but it sets the tone. From there, we'll get into the usual first day onboarding. Introductions, company policies, ground rules. Then we sit them down and watch a video or two of great installs and finished projects, so they can see the bar we're delivering to customers before they ever touch a light. Next, we put them through the Big Star Lights Pro Installer onboarding course. It gets a brand new hire familiar with the products and the terms and all the different topics fast. After that, we'll head on over outside and do some safety training on the ladders. We also get them familiar with the apps and technology we use day to day. After safety training, we'll take the crew out to a real tree and roofline to give them some real hands-on experience. We teach them using the Doragi method, a 6-step training framework used across many industries. It follows this loop. 1, demonstrate. You do it start to finish, slow, explaining as you go. 2, observe. They try, you watch without jumping in. 3, re-demonstrate. You do it again, highlighting tweaks, praising what they did right. 4, assign a task. Give them a small real assignment to apply it. 5, goal set. Set the expected time or target so that they stay on track. 6, check the work and then loop back as needed. Once I've demonstrated something to the new hires, I'll let them give it a go, and then I'll reference this comprehensive training checklist to make sure that we teach them everything that they need to know. So in the checklist, we have lots of different categories that we need to teach the new hires. We want to make sure that they can inspect their ladders safely, that they can identify all the types of different products that we use, that they can attach 50 feet in an hour and 15 minutes, including power, that they can install 10 strings in 100 minutes. After we've gone through all the items, we will score them on a scale from 1 to 3. below standard, meet standard, and above standard. We also give a proficiency test for each section. The goal of the scoring is to find out who your top performers are and which workers need to get more training to meet your standards. By the end of day one, I already have a good read on who's going to perform and who's struggling right out of the gate. We never just throw a new person to the wolves. We send crews out in pairs and always try to match a new installer with an experienced one, so they're always learning. And there's always someone senior to catch and correct mistakes before they become habits. If you don't have experienced installers to lead yet, you'll need to be the one out in the field running that Derocky loop. But that time pays off when peak season hits. How long should it take until someone works unsupervised? Usually 2 weeks to a month, depending on the person and the projects. Don't rush it. Signing someone off before they're ready is just the future callbacks waiting to happen. Kevin already showed you exactly what a great install looks like. The clean roof lines, the consistent spacing, the hidden cords. My job is to get the whole team delivering that same standard on every job. So how do I keep the standards consistent across multiple crews and routes when I can't be everywhere? 3 systems: checklists, proof, and site checks. First, checklists. On every job site, every day, the crew completes 2 core checklists. There's a site safety checklist for when they show up. This checks that everyone has started their job timer, reviewed the job notes, and confirmed the work for today. I'm also checking that cones or caution tape are set up if needed, hazards are identified, and the work area is safe before the crew gets started. Then there's the quality assurance checklist to fill out before they leave the job site. I'm looking to make sure the lights match the job plan, the color and pattern are correct, bulbs are straight and secure, cords are hidden and neatly routed, and the finished work meets our standards before the crew moves on. Besides those, we also have equipment checklists for vehicles and lifts, so the tools and machines are ready and safe before work starts. Second, proof. Photos and videos are how we verify that what's being checked off on the checklists is accurate. We upload everything to CompanyCam, so it's time-stamped and attached to the job. It doesn't take long, but it makes a huge difference in setting the standard and keeping it. Here's the simple routine. Once you get to the job site, you want to take your before photos. These are wide shots, plus some close-ups of the key areas. Document any pre-existing damage the moment you arrive. While you're installing, take photos or videos of tricky spots that you can reference later. At the end of the day, take some after photos and videos. Match up your before angles and get a quick video of the finished install lit up so we have proof it's working. On removals, shoot a quick walkthrough video on where everything was so that next year's crew can repeat it exactly. Lastly, there's the supervisor site check with his own checklist. This is the third way we standardize quality. A supervisor or manager does random site visits each week to make sure that the crews are using the checklists, working safely, and meeting our standards. If they aren't, it gets corrected quickly and becomes a coaching, retraining, or performance conversation. The follow-through cadence is simple and fair. Miss standard, fix it, document it, coach it, and recheck it. Now let's talk about callbacks. A few weeks in, chances are you're going to get a callback and have to go back to a job site. A cord that worked its way loose, bulbs gone out, lights not working. Here's the thing, a callback isn't just a problem, it's a data source. When a callback comes in, identify the failure point and check if your standards or checklists need to be updated. You're going to want to then retrain your crew, and then you're going to want to check back on them a few days later to make sure that they're following your new instructions. And here's the follow-through piece. We treat callbacks like quality incidents, not bad luck. We log them, we tag the failure point, and then we find the solution. If it's a one-off callback, it's a coaching moment and a quick retrain. If the callbacks keep happening for the same reason, it's a clear signal. Your crews need more support and more training until the work meets standards. If someone can't meet the standards, we'll have to make a decision, because holding on to one underperformer for too long costs far more in more callbacks, morale hits, and reputation. This is how an owner stops being the bottleneck. If your quality depends on 1 or 2 hero technicians, you're stuck. They're a limited resource, and if you lean on them too hard, they also start to slip. A real system spreads the load across the whole team, keeps the standards clear, and honestly makes everyone happier at work. There's lots of apps out there to help you run your business, but word of advice, I would say keep it simple. The fewer apps your crews have to learn, the better. We use Jobber for scheduling, estimating, invoicing, and client communication, as well as time tracking so we can watch costs for each project. We use CompanyCam to store all the photos for each project, and then we have Slack for just internal communication. If I could teach an owner one habit, it's to consistently hold people accountable and writing your standards down as real standard operating procedures people can follow and fall back on. I'd also highly recommend to reward your top performers, as these are the people you can't afford to lose. So here's the whole system start to finish. Hire for reliability and culture fit, onboard with a real training loop and checklists, and write down exactly what your standards look like. Then you keep it consistent with 3 simple tools: checklists, photo video proof, and quick site checks. And when you get a callback, you don't just fix it, you use it to tighten the checklists, retrain the team, and prevent the next one. And that's how you grow past one hero technician and keep quality high across every crew. And that's it. So thanks for listening. And hey, if you need any more advice on how to manage a team, send us an email or give us a call. We'd be always happy to help.